again, welcome to the Memoir channel. My name is Nikki Smart, and today I'm speaking with Julie Miles Lewis about her book, Uncharted Waters, Discover Your Hidden Depth. So this is not actually a memoir, but everything in here is true. Julie has done some amazing things. She's climbed really high mountains. She's swum the channel. She is brave and adventurous. And this book is about lessons she learned from water. And it's to encourage you to sort of dig deeper into yourself and discover new possibilities. And she says, remember, you are water, and water always finds a way. I like that. So, okay, let's go talk to Julie and find out more. Hi, Julie. Welcome to the Memoir channel.
Thank you so much. It's great to connect here, having met you on my last trip to Portugal. Amazing.
Yeah, and where are you now? In Dubai, is that right?
I'm currently in Dubai. I live about an hour's drive away from Dubai because that's where I went to write the book, on the slow coast. But I came here today to do a book event, actually, this morning, and then some filming, and now the memoir challenge. So it's been a very creative, arty day. Yeah.
All right, wonderful. So I was wondering if you could maybe just sort of give a brief overview of what your book is about and what you're hoping that people will get from it.
Sure. I wrote Uncharted Waters over a period of time, and basically it's a personal development book, but it's an invitation for people to fall in love with water again and to really love and appreciate water, because I see it as the elixir of life. You know, we can go without food for 30 days, but water, you know, we need water. It gives life to everything. So really it's a metaphorical journey through different bodies of water, to say, really, what can we learn if we were to be more like a waterfall? And that's courage and trust, you know, going over the edge. A puddle is playfulness, a river is resilience, an ocean is oceans of emotions, an iceberg is presence, you know, a snowflake is individuality, and right down to the tiny, tiny tears from our eyes, you know, that water in all forms. I mean, we are 70% water. So it's an invitation to really connect with water on a deeper level, and through all of our senses, to see what lessons she has. I say she because I see water as feminine, intuitive, very yin compared to the mountain yang energy. So basically it's an invitation to connect more deeply with water.
Yeah. And I mean, I remember, I think it was in there that I was reading that you said that tears of joy and tears of sadness have different chemicals, in which I'd never heard before. And I thought,
that's right.
That is interesting.
It is, isn't it? And I think, you know, we, as human beings, part of our human nature, isn't it? That, you know, we express emotions through different ways, whether it's singing, dancing, writing. But, you know, there are times in our life where we have significant emotional experiences where we do have tears of joy, tears of pride, tears of relief. It's like, oh, you know, tears of laughter, but then, you know, the grief. And, you know, I do talk about things that are quite heavy in the book, you know, grief, because grief is the price we pay for loving deeply, isn't it? We only grieve over something when we love something or somebody, that we feel we've lost something. So it's a great way to release those emotions, so that we're kind of almost cleansing, you know, it's a way out for those emotions, really.
I mean, I like the way that you sort of managed to make an analogy to water in everything you were going through, and you had like your 3 tsunamis, which
yes.
Which, I mean, you've had some real ups and some real downs. I mean, you have, so I thought, you know, there's a lot of resilience in you, and I thought this book was more about teaching people how to be more resilient, or find that extra, like dig that extra little bit to find courage within themselves. So
yes, for sure. You know, I mean, people have said to me in the past, Nikki, oh, you're so resilient, you're so strong. And then I actually say, you know, I've become stronger because I've experienced, as we all do at some point in our lives. You know, when you get to 62, you've had a lot of experience, you've earned your warrior stripes, kind of thing. That, you know, the things that, you know, are sent to really challenge us and test us physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, that could potentially break you, but what they've actually done is make you stronger. So yeah, being widowed, held at gunpoint, you know, blown off a mountain, turned down for jobs, you know, nursing a husband through stage 4 brain cancer to complete recovery, loss of parents, all of these things, they're kind of universal in a way because it's not just me. I mean, we all lose somebody that we love at some point. We've all had challenging experiences. So then it's actually saying, let those be how you reframe them, so you can turn that tragedy into triumph, the heartbreak into the hero of your own story. So you can actually empower yourself to say, this happened and it really challenged me, and what I learned from this, and moving forward, that knowing what I know now, I would be more like water, and find a way, because water shapeshifts. It's the only element that can exist as a liquid, a solid, and a gas. I joke, I say it can't be contained. It's like a woman, she cannot be contained. If it's in a pipe, it will freeze and then burst the pipe. If it's hot, it will just melt and then find a way. It can get through the tiniest of crack. And cause havoc. It can give life and it can destroy life. It's very powerful, very, very powerful.
Yeah, it is. It is. No, I love that you would, and I mean, you were saying how you would get different experiences from different bodies of water. Like, like you were saying, you go sit by a lake when you need more calming and comforting, and then you sit by a river when you need to sort of feel courageous. And the waterfall, I like that
Yes.
too, jumping over the edge and going for it. And
That's kind of an entrepreneurial journey, isn't it? And sometimes
sure
in
is.
relationships, we jump into relationships, or we move country, or we decide to learn a new language,
Yeah.
or I mean, some things, like the rogue wave, the tsunamis come and kind of knock us off our metaphorical mountain, and they challenge us. And then other times we decide to, I say, jump ship, say, I've always lived here. I'm just going to go and move to a new country, learn a new language, start a new career, or go and do something. And people are going, what on earth are you doing? And you just think, I just feel this call. It's like a soul tap. It's just like nobody can understand it. It's kind of often illogical. And you just think, I'm going into uncharted waters, into the unknown, and I'm embracing that uncertainty. And I'm just going to be open and see what happens. Where do I go? How does that flow? Yeah.
Yes. And I liked how at the end of each chapter you gave some sort of reflective exercises for people to do. Like, how think about what you read there and how does it relate to you, or how does it resonate with you, all the questions. I thought that was great. So
Yes, I like journal prompts, actually. People that have read it have said, normally they just kind of go through a book and then they kind of might go back to it. But, it's one of those where you can actually do that, or you can just dip in or do a full dive, chapter by chapter. But the questions, if you actually think, oh, I'll just put the kettle on, have a cup of tea, and actually I'll answer these questions. I've got a journal, I'm going to write down, because some certain things will resonate to different people, and just think, yeah, I remember that time. And oh yeah, what if I was an iceberg? What if I was, that river going to the ocean, thinking, oh, kind of thing. Or
I think there was one where you asked if you could speak to water, or what would water say to you, and I really like that because it really sort of
yes.
makes your head go like you're thinking this way now instead of the usual way. You kind of have to go outside of your box there.
Yes, and I think that was the thing, that instead of a how-to book, my first book, Moving Mountains, Discover the Mountain You, was very much a how-to. And this one was kind of more thought-provoking. It's like little prompts. And if water could speak to you, what would it say? If you were to be a body of water, what would you be? And an affirmation, I'm an ocean of energy. I am water. I will find a way. And taking care of water, because we are water. So whatever we do to water, we're doing to ourselves. We often take for granted that we turn the tap on, the shower on, that we're going to have clean water coming through, that, it's always going to be there. And it's kind of like a new currency. I mean, when you think of the words linked to water, a stream of consciousness, the currents of life, riding the waves of change. So many beautiful metaphors for water. Really is. Yeah.
Really, absolutely. Could you maybe read us a little bit from your book, if you?
Yes, yeah. And it's something, when people say what inspired you for the book, it was basically attempting to swim the English Channel from England to France, when I actually realized, wow, I thought standing strong like a mountain was the way to go. But now I think, oh, being more like water is much more sensible. There are times when you need to stand strong, but then, the qualities of water.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd actually read a beautiful book called Blue Mind by now the late Dr. Wallace J. Nichols, that talked about the neuroscience of being in, on, around, or underwater, that we activate this blue mind, which is calm, focused.
Oh, I like that.
Ideas flow. We're often in the red mind, stressed, beta mode, thinking autopilot, or the gray mind, which is absolutely burnt out and frazzled. So the goal is, to connect with water. And actually on the back cover, he wrote a beautiful quote: "Put Julie's ideas into practice and your relationship with yourself, each other, and life on our water planet will deepen." And that's really the fact that the planet's 70% water, we're 70% water. So we're actually looking at ourselves. We're, the human replicant, and we are part of nature.
Mm-hmm.
One of the quotes I put on the back, which is, what I really quote often, is, "Remember you are water, and water always finds a way,"
I like
which
that
I
one.
think is really important. So really, Uncharted Waters is an invitation to explore the many, many lessons that life lessons water can teach us, building
Mm-hmm.
resilience, finding your flow, navigating change. So it's basically, as it says on the back, a powerful journey of self-reflection and personal growth through
Yes.
journal prompts, inspirational quotes, stories, and insights.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you had
Yeah.
lovely quotes in there. And I'm actually going to read, I wrote some of them down. But I mean, there was one that was, "When you appear to have lost everything, you have nothing left to lose."
Oh
And
gosh,
that,
yes.
it's lovely because I've actually had that experience when I got to that point where, oh, I'm at rock bottom. And I suddenly had that thought, well, then I have to start going up again. And then the minute
Yes.
you know that, you're like, it actually makes you feel better. So,
Yes. That's
um,
great that you picked that one out. Yeah. It
and,
made me
and,
go goosebumpy actually when
ah,
you said that, because I think so many times is, that, oh, this happened, gosh, it's so bad. So, well, it can only get better now, if you've lost.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, oh, I love this one as well. This was your ancient Asian proverb was, "He who blames others has a long way to go on his journey. He who blames himself is halfway there. He who blames no one has arrived." I'm like,
Yes.
so
Yeah.
lovely.
Yeah.
So lovely.
Yeah, I really find quotes. So, I mean, they're just nice snippets. When I read books and there's just quotes, I highlight the ones that really resonate with me,
Hmm.
because they
Hmm.
can almost become like a positive anchor, so that when you flick through the book again, you think, oh, that resonated with me at that time. And when I was actually writing the book, Nikki, I had this kind of ritual or process that I would light a candle, I would have flowers, and I'd have a pot of tea, and I have water, and I'd just do a little meditation, and I would actually say, whoever wants to come through me, whether it's Rumi, Lao Tzu, Khalil Gibran, Alan Watts, please, help me and be like, let me be the channel or the vessel for the inspiration linked to water. So, and then I kind of looked, quotes on water by, Eastern philosophers, artists, poets, scientists, because there is a lot
Hmm.
about it that are timeless, even though they were written thousands of years ago. They're so applicable to our
Sure.
modern day life.
Sure.
Yeah.
They're very lovely. And then I wanted to ask you about two things that I had not really heard of before. And I think this was, you mentioned them when you said you were trying to really do a lot of self-care for yourself when you were looking after your husband, because,
Yes.
and you realized you need to look after you too. So, and I don't even know if I'm saying this right, but it was the frequencies, the solfeggio frequencies.
Yes. Solfeggio frequencies. Yeah.
Can you tell me a bit about that?
Yes, I can. I think when you become a caregiver, whether it's expected or unexpected, and all of a sudden, there's a fine line between giving of yourself and giving up on yourself. And for me, as a primary caregiver, it was so important to keep my own vibrational frequency high, so that I didn't burn out, that I wanted to be
Hmm.
this beacon of joy and love every time I went into the hospital in ICU, that I was this energy, this life force, as opposed to this, oh my gosh, I can't deal with this kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
So swimming in the sea was my solace, because the water was supporting me. But then listening to the solfeggio frequencies, which are, the different frequencies healing frequencies. So I would fall asleep to them, or I just have
Ah,
them playing in the background. I even played them at the hospital, because the vibrational frequency, for example, 432 is the frequency of the universe. It's the it's the sound of nature. 528 is the heart frequency. So we are energy, and for me, it was about making sure that my vibrational frequency was high, so that I came from a position of love and strength, as opposed to I'm burnt out, I
yeah,
have no
yeah.
energy, I have
No,
nothing left to give.
that's so lovely. That is just so lovely.
Mm,
And then the other
yeah.
thing I was curious about was the negative ions.
Yes.
That's from the water, and I've heard that before.
Yes. Yeah.
That
And isn't it amazing that something is negative but is so positive for us,
what exactly is it? Is it that it replenishes us? I mean, what's actually happening there? Do you know?
It is. It's the combination of what's the buzzwords now is about grounding, tuning into the earth's frequency. So walking
Hmm.
barefoot, whether it's on
Hmm.
the beach or on the grass, the earth's frequency is really rebalancing us, because we're
Uh-huh.
we're we're in fluorescent light, we're in AC, we're indoors, we're wearing shoes, we've got lots of clothes. So sunlight, walking by the beach, and then being where by the ocean, or after rain, after there's a downpour of rain, you go out and you feel so refreshed because it's all of the negative ions in the air. So that concept of being in, on, around, underwater, and obviously you can fabricate it using machines and equipment, but the natural way of taking a walk along the beach,
Hmm.
or standing by a waterfall, or going and standing out in the rain, it's just these wild things that
Yeah.
are really taking us back to nature and back to yourself, so that you you're rejuvenated by it, really. Yeah, because
Absolutely.
we've got a lot of energy around us. Yeah.
Yeah, that is, and I mean, so do you think that even something like having a bath or a shower or something can help? If you're
Oh
in
my
like
gosh.
just a horrible, like, I'm just in a bad place, just jump in the bath if you can.
Yeah, I tend to be more of an advocate for a shower, because I think that's what I literally think I'm washing everything off whenever I've been traveling, or I've come through a busy airport, or I've been to an
Hmm.
event, or I've felt a kind of a heaviness. I sometimes I take 7 or 8 showers in the day, and it just poof, it just really. And I think a cold shower as well, because it
Yes.
really just is a boost. And then soaking in the bath. So the cold shower is like it's
Yeah.
energizing, and the soaking in the bath is like, ah,
Yeah.
so I think it's quite nice to shower off and then soak in the bath, with your Epsom
Yeah.
salts, with your music, or, to just really nurture yourself.
Yeah.
It's more like being in that maternal ocean. We came from our mother's womb, which is our first maternal ocean. And so when
Hmm.
people say, oh, the waters broke and out we come into this world, kind of thing. So I think that's why, for me, the connection of water. I mean, the research has shown that even just listening to the sounds of water can reduce your cortisol
True.
levels by
Yeah.
60%, so it's very comforting. So
It
if you
really,
can't
no,
get to the ocean, you just, yeah.
it's my favorite thing in the world is to swim, but I like to swim underwater.
Mm.
So now I have to read The Blue Mind because I'm really curious about
Oh my gosh.
what the
Yes.
underwater frequencies are all about.
It's beautiful because it's just you, and it's all the noise and the
Hmm.
distractions. And, I love, one of the things I do is putting my mask and snorkel and just floating face down. I mean, you can pay to go in a flotation tank, obviously,
Hmm.
but, floating face down, either in the pool, but ideally in the sea, because then you've got the magnesium chloride, the natural
Hmm.
salts that are really
Hmm.
good for our body, and that weightlessness and feeling supported,
And just the
and it's
breathing.
just me, the
Um,
water, and the breath. And then you might see a little fish, or you might, look at the bottom and see shells and see patterns. And,
mm,
it's getting back to our basics, back to nature. And I think that's the biggest thing, that, the message
yeah.
to be a voice for nature, for me to be a voice for nature, go hug a tree, go walk in the park, connect with nature, walk barefoot, forage,
Yeah.
it's just so important.
And it's so
Yeah.
healthy. It's so healthy for us.
Mm,
Really.
yes, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Okay, so you just released this book, right? It just came out fairly recently.
Yes, April. Yes,
Okay.
yes,
And
yeah.
so I know you're probably still working on publicizing and marketing and doing all of that, but what do you got coming up next? Are you thinking of
Yeah, it's
writing something else or?
for sure. I think Uncharted Waters needs to float around a little bit. We created
Yes,
a
it does.
soundtrack. My niece is a singer, so she created a
Oh.
soundtrack for it, and we created a lovely book trailer. So I think now it's about, a book about water needs to be experienced. So looking at some programs where, you know, we can be in, on, around, or even underwater. So boat trips, coastal hikes, so actually giving people the opportunity to experience water through all of their senses.
Uh-huh.
So it kind of brings the book alive. And interestingly enough, when I was in the shower the other day, I mean, I've already got book number 3, and I think, Julie, just wait and another 6 months or so. But
Yeah.
then the idea is coming for that, and it's really, the first book was called Moving Mountains: Discover the Mountain in You. So that's kind of looking up for answers. Uncharted Waters, Discover Your Hidden Depths. It's like really getting into the emotional bodies of water, so the
Hmm.
masculine, the feminine. And I think now the third book, of which I see will potentially be 4, is linked to trees and the forests, because there's a lot of research on, the power of spending time in the forest and what we can learn
Hmm.
from trees.
Hmm.
Discovering your roots and the energy, turning over a new leaf. There's so many expressions around that,
Yeah.
forest
Yeah.
bathing. So I see that kind of green mind, even, I thought it could be called Green Mind because Blue Mind is a book, and Green Mind or Forest Wisdom. Um,
Hmm. Hmm.
and so if you see me hugging a tree and spending a lot of time in the forest, I'm doing my kind of research again. But in between that, I spent some time in Maui and Bimini last year as part of my research with whales and dolphins, because they're
Hmm.
also part of this ecosystem. So all the kind of trips, retreats, experiences will be kind of coastal hikes. So you get the benefit of those negative ions. It could be on a boat,
Hmm.
like looking at sailing trips in Croatia around the Greek islands and in Portugal.
Lovely.
I would love to come back to Qashqai and run kind of programs around that, because a lot of my inspiration came from walking along that coastline,
Hmm. Yeah, it's
2
beautiful.
years ago. So yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's right, because you actually put together like these expeditions and you take people to go and have fabulous adventures, don't you?
Yeah, I do. And I think this is important that, I think more and more people are looking for more meaning and more connection when they
Hmm.
travel, um, to what I call regenerative, rewilding, rejuvenation, so that you come back feeling, oof, I've really connected with nature, I've connected with wildlife, I made a difference. Like a lot of the trips, I say, can we plant a tree at the beginning or somewhere in the middle? Can we do a beach cleanup? Can we connect with the community? Because for me, really, our disconnection from nature is what causes a lot of stress. So the minute we can reconnect to nature, connect to ourselves and others,
Hmm.
and the wildlife around us, that's really what gives me a lot of joy and energy. So I love seeing how people are transformed by something that is so
Yeah,
natural.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
free.
It
Yeah.
is. It's lovely.
Mm.
Okay, so yes, okay, so there'll be a third book about trees. I can see that coming. Um, and then let me ask you about the crystal that you're wearing. What is
Yes,
that
yeah.
significant?
This um for my 60th birthday, um I hired a boat and we went out on a boat trip because I was very much in this water element. And one of my friends, Daniela, was at a market somewhere in the world. I can't even remember. She
Hmm.
saw this and she said, "That's for Julie." So it was a birthday gift from my very, very dear friend. And I only take it off when I'm sleeping, when I'm swimming. I wear this one. And my husband says, you've got all these lovely necklaces and you keep wearing this one. But it just has a really special energy. And I power it up under the sun and I power it up under the full moon. And whenever I just feel I need a little bit of bump, I literally hold it in my left hand. Left is for
Hmm.
receiving. I just kind of
Oh,
hold it, and it's almost as if it's recharging me. So it's very
I
special.
love
And when
it.
I wear different colors, if I wear white, for example, it seems to be more like icebergy colors, the different. So it seems to change color with what I'm wearing.
Mm.
Um, Yeah, a lot of people ask me about it, and I think I probably could have sold it about 80 times, but I say, no, it's a keeper. I don't know where Daniela got it from, and she can't even remember where she got it from. They were on some travels, yeah.
Do you know what kind of crystal or stone it is?
I think it's glass really. It's not
Ah,
it's glass, but it's got it's kind of ridged and
yeah, I
everything.
see that.
I mean, you can
Yeah.
see that I like kind of turquoise. I've got labradorite. I've got a piece of sea glass
Yes.
that was from Maui.
Is the one ring a little turtle? Is
Which one?
is one of them a little turtle? Oh, it looked
Oh,
like
I've got
no. I thought
uh,
your ring was. It almost looked like it was a
oh
little head.
no, yeah, this is
It's so
and it's
cute.
interesting because the mountain is that way, the
Uh-huh.
triangle, but
Yes.
reversed, it's water. And if you think about the letter M, if you turn it upside down, it's
Oh,
water.
it's mountain and
A
water.
W, mountain and water.
Yeah,
So I thought that was really interesting.
that
And then
is.
I make these bracelets, and I've got a little starfish, which is all about renewal. But dolphins, this one is actually, I was in Saudi a couple of days ago, and I went to a team dinner, and they were doing henna and all of that kind of stuff.
It
So
looks
I've got
great.
an interesting combination of
Well,
crystals, jewelry, and henna.
wonderful, wonderful,
Yeah,
wonderful. All
yeah.
right. Well, thank you so much for chatting with me today, and I wish you all the best of
Oh,
luck.
thank you.
And I'm going to put your website underneath so people can, reach out and you can get your
Beautiful.
book through all the usual channels. It's on Amazon,
Amazing.
right?
Thank you so much. It
You're
was really
you're very
lovely
welcome.
to meet you and then to have that connection. I
Yeah.
think it was Yvonne, wasn't it? No,
Yes.
um,
It was 3-1.
yes, yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And I will be
Yeah.
back. I will be back in
Okay.
Kashkai. So when I do come back, hopefully we can go and have a tea or a
Yeah,
juice
it'd be
or
lovely.
something and
Yes, we
wander
will.
around the beach. Yeah,
Okay.
super.
All right. Well,
All
thank you
right.
so much.
Thank you
All
so
right.
much.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.